of damaging controversies within the Met. Mayor of London Sadiq Khan had made it clear he had no confidence in her leadership. Dame Cressida Dick stated she felt as if she had no choice but to resign. This resignation has sparked debate about who is responsible for failings within the force. Is it a question of a few bad apples or a cultural, institutional and systemic problem? To help us tease out these questions in this week's Moral Dilemmas, we're joining me down the phone in particular to discuss this is Mike Barton MBE, former Chief Constable of Durham. Thank you so much for joining me this afternoon, Mike. Firstly, what is your reaction to the resignation of Cressida Dick?
Well, sadness, but with a touch of inevitability, I think. Whenever anybody's at the top of an organisation and they become the story, I think there's always a sense that it's probably inevitable that it's time to go.
I mean, obviously she was at the top of the Met. I mean, do you think the buck always stops with those at the top? Because some people will argue that actually when it comes to policing, there will always be scandals, there will always be some controversy. Is it very helpful if we constantly have a kind of cycle of people coming, staying for a few years, overseeing a scandal and then leaving?
Yeah, I do have some sympathy with that, Inaya, and I do think it's strange that somebody who is clearly not a misogynist, I know Cressida, she's a really noble and caring person, so for her to take the fall for a culture of misogyny is ironic, isn't it? And you know, there's a big top team in the Met, and I think they all need to look at themselves whether they've supported Cressida as well as they might have been. There are a lot of chief constables, actual chief constables in the Met. There are 6 chief constables. 3 of them have already been chief constables somewhere else. So they all must bear some responsibility for this. I'm not suggesting that all of them go, but it does seem ironic that it should be Cressida Dick who everybody heralded, and quite rightly, as a real sea change in leadership for the Met, should actually have to take the fall.
And what do you make of accusations that the police is systemically misogynistic, systemically racist, systemically corrupt? I mean, do you buy that at all?
Yeah, well, what I do sign up to is any police force in any society will mirror that society. And there is misogyny, there's racism in society. So inevitability, there will be an element of that in the police force. It's incumbent on policing leaders, however, and the systems they create to root it out, to stop it coming in, and if it does come in, to make sure it's rooted out. So that's why disciplinary procedures have got to be absolutely spot on. Vetting procedures have got to be spot on. And if you do find somebody that's unsuitable for policing, then you've got to be ruthless. I used to have a reputation for sacking more people than other police leaders, but I took the view I wasn't sacking them. I was just inviting them to go and do a job to which they were better suited.